Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Marathon's Marketing Moment. Now, today, this is the second part of ideas for you to consider when you start looking at getting ready for the seasonality of the fourth quarter of 2022. Now, there's no question, and I know it's sarcastic, but you snooze, you lose. And there's so much time now for you to be able to look at ideas and things that you can be doing to get ready so that the fourth quarter becomes one of your best ever. I'm Skip Cohen, and my co-host is here, Marathon's Mark Weber. Between the two of us, I've said this before, we've got a combined history of close to 100 years. God, that hurts.
Ouch.
But I always say the same thing. Time flies when you're having a good time. And I don't know about you, Mark, but when I look back, um, it's gone by in a flash.
Yeah, it,
It's
it does.
yeah. So Mark's background is primarily as a professional photographer. He's got a long list of accolades over the years. He's got a great business background, plus marketing education and consulting at Marathon Press. And me, I've just always loved the business and marketing side of imaging. And that's the journey that I chose to be on for all these years. But I know more than I let on because I've hung out with a lot of guys like Mark and Don Blair and Tony Corbell and you name it. Hanging out with you guys has definitely made my photography better. So, like all our other episodes, we want to share ideas to help you build a stronger brand. What good is creating the greatest images of your life if nobody knows who you are? So,
Amen. Yeah.
yeah. So today we're going to talk about things you can be doing well in advance, like right now, that are going to help you start focusing. And I hate to use that as a pun, but it is. You know how to focus your cameras, but so many of you don't know how to focus your business. So we're going to give you all the help we can with ideas that you can start doing right now to make the fourth quarter terrific. So, buddy, where should we start?
Well, one of the things I learned early on in my career was there's nothing like targeting back to your regular customers because they already know you and love you and they understand what you're about and they love your brand. And so it's a lot easier and more effective to market back to them. You still have to market, of course, to new customers as well, but be sure and tap into those customers that know and love you because that's going to be your bread and butter.
Well, you hit on one of my favorite topics because everybody is always worried about finding new customers and they forget the gold mine they're sitting on.
Mhm.
Now, unless you've been a complete hockey puck and you've pissed off all of your previous customers, all of you have got a database that's worth gold and you tend to forget about it. So I want to remind everybody little things you can do. For example, follow your clients on Facebook. If you want to use Facebook as your own social media tool for personal stuff, that's up to you. I don't buy it. You will never see a blog post that I put out or a post rather on Facebook that says, oh boy, I just had yogurt, yum, yum. I like to use it for marketing. So, with all of you out there, pay attention to birthdays and anniversaries. Keep in touch with past clients and what's going on in in their lives. In fact, if you were to take your top, let's say you take your top 10 clients and you just want to start tracking what's going on in their lives, use the telephone to stay in touch. Just for a call. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to sell anything. You can just say, look, following the pandemic, we all lost touch. All I want to do is check up and see how you guys are doing, what's going on. And then just listen. You don't have to sell anything. But the point is, you've made contact, and they're going, "Oh yeah, that's my photographer Skip." And God, what a nice thing. He called just to see how the kids were doing and how our summer is.
So true.
Yeah, it's just about maintaining your relationship. In fact, I've got a book here called On Marketing, and in On Marketing, the tagline is stop marketing and start engaging. That's your biggest tool right now is relationship building. And that's by Scott Stratton. If anybody wants to jump on Amazon and pick it up, it's a great book.
There's so many things that go into marketing, and it's usually not any one big thing that you do. It's like, we're talking about here having a personal written note on just a blank studio card You can put a quick compliment in there or an invitation. You can say something like, Mary and John, it's been a year since we've photographed your family. It's coming up on that time of the year again. You're a VIP customer. Here's $100 gift card to use toward anything that you want to purchase with us, and whatever you want to say to make it personal. But that's the little things that you do that keep people coming back. I know my accountant, every birthday, I get a handwritten note from him saying, "Happy birthday, just hope you're doing well." He adds just a little message, and he wouldn't have to do that. And yet, it's that and a lot of other things keeps me loyal to him.
Well, I did a podcast interview with Angela Carson years ago. And Angela is one of the all-time great family photographers. She's based out of Detroit. And I remember Angela talking about she knows how many customers she's got to have. She knows how many shoots she's got to do through the year to pay the mortgage, to run her business, to do the things she needs to do, and maintain her the quality in the business that she wants to present to the community. And she had figured out that roughly 65% of her customers were return customers each year. And she knows right off the bat how many I've got to have, how many do I have to keep in touch with. And then she does an unbelievable job of essentially becoming part of their families. And then there's another one that I happen to love. Let's throw it out here right now. Let's talk about third party gifting.
Yeah.
Mark mentioned doing a written hand note to your clients with some kind of gift card. Well, this is an idea from Doug Box, and it's years old, but the idea is for a photographer to work with a let's take a photographer and a realtor and put them together. And the photographer is going to give gift certificates to the realtor. And I think we talked about this on an earlier podcast, in fact. It's going to come up with gift certificates to the realtor to give to their clients whenever they sell a new house. So in that basket of goodies you normally get when you buy a new house from your realtor, which is usually a crappy bottle of wine and some chips and some pasta, everybody knows the food baskets. It's a really nice thought, but now there's a certificate in there that they can use later on. Uh, and it becomes just a great way. The photographer isn't undermining their pricing. It might be for a free sitting, for example, but it's positioned as a gift from the realtor
Mhm.
to the client. And
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
just a great way to keep maintaining a certain level of quality out there. We're all used to frequent flyer programs, and over the years, everybody became a point whore, whether it's American Express or Visa, whatever it is. Uh, Develop your own point program. Develop
That
programs that keep bringing clients back.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop. You think about big ticket items, automobiles, motorcycles, boats. We had a client that she had a Harley Davidson. She went in, bought one, and she got to thinking, gosh, my salesman usually gives me a little something. And so she networked with him, and everybody that bought a Harley Davidson through him, he gave a gift certificate to have a portrait made with their motorcycle. And of course, she did an incredible job, and it turned into more sales because she had calendars that she would create with it. And that goes with any product like that. If you can network with if you're a wedding photographer, get with a jewelry store. And you have to kind of look for businesses that are not franchised because it gets a really kind of complicated with those. But if you have an independent business owner, that's just gold because it's a win-win. You've given them something that is of value that they're going to appreciate, and you've got something now for a new customer that's been qualified. Let's say again with a real estate agent, you're not having them give a certificate to somebody that's maybe buying a economy house and a first time home buyer, but they're helping to kind of qualify that better client with the certain house value and everything else that goes with it. But great way to network.
Well, like our podcasts go here, this is this is no different than when you're with a bunch of friends and somebody tells a joke and it triggers, and next thing you know, you've got a joke-a-thon. You just hit on several ideas that are jumping back into the front of my brain. David Zeiser every year at holiday time used to contact clients, and especially well anniversary time as well, and would go back to a bride and say, "Hey, I can't believe it's been a year since you got married. I'd really like to come out and just do a complimentary portrait for of you and your husband." Now, imagine the younger the bride, the more friends she has, and being married for a year and having your photographer come back and say, "Hey, I would love to do a portrait for you. Just appreciate, working with you guys. Love the wedding." Now she goes and tells all of her friends. I can't believe that David's coming out. Dean Collins, Dean was actually the one that used to do it specifically at holiday time. Dean would go back to the CEOs of companies whose catalogs, for example, he had photographed and do a complimentary sitting for their holiday card. It's just another way to keep building that relationship and say, "Hey, I'm here. I appreciate your business and just want to be out there with you." And then when you were talking about jewelry, wedding photographers and jewelry stores, it actually works for so many different specialties. Boudoir, team up with a cosmetic store in town. I'm not talking about the perfume counter at Macy's. To Mark's point, look for those privately owned companies, a spa, a lingerie, women's clothing shop, doing something together with a travel agency, boat owners, any of those high ticket items. You mentioned Harleys before, but anybody that's bought a new boat, anybody that just bought a new sports car. I mean, I live here in Sarasota, and I'm so tired of seeing 90-year-olds driving Corvettes, but they are so proud of it. And they've got a right to be. I just wish they'd do more than 11 miles an hour with their left turn signal on. Yeah, it's like welcome to Florida. But the point is, they're excited about it. I was talking to one guy the other day, just in the parking lot at the supermarket, and he is in this stunning brand new vet. I know he's got to be at least 80. And I was laughing about where he parked because he had parked just miles away from everybody, still trying to keep the scratches and dings out of the doors. Uh, the point is, it's that pride. It's capturing that pride. And let's go into what do you think about personal holiday cards, not just as part of your offering to your clients, but for your own cards for your business?
Oh yeah. Yeah, again, it just adds more of your own personal style and brand to that connection with your people that you know and love. And yeah, that's a great incentive too.
Well, I want to hit everybody with an idea on holiday cards because this is right up Marathon's alley. First of all, everybody listening, if I find out that you bought a Hallmark card to send out or American Greetings, I will hunt you down. All right, that's a promise. Now, here's why. Your artists, your photographers, now is the time for you to start thinking about an image you might want to have on your own holiday card. Marathon can put it together for you. They can help you design it. And you can do it blank in the middle, where inside the card you're going to write your own message, or you can do a pre-printed message. And then on the back of the card, just like the Hallmark label, and they used to do this TV commercial for those of you that are really old, where it was like, look for the Hallmark, and people would, and nobody does this in all honesty, but they'd show people getting cards and looking at the back to see
Mhm.
that it was a Hallmark card, as if that was that unique.
Yes.
But where you would put the normal Hallmark label, that's where you put your own label. That's where you have your logo. That's where you have your contact information. Might just be as simple as an email address. It could be a phone number, something that reminds them that you're a photographer and that's your image on the front of the card. And then to take it a step further, because you could tie it in right now, Marathon can do a great job of using your images to create your own stationery.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
And not only stationary, but I don't know a photographer alive that doesn't do their own kind of fine art photography. I know people that will sell their fine art photography cards in packs and network again with bookstores and other boutique stores that they can put those in with as well. So those cards, and especially once we get into the fall, Marathon does their BOGO special. So it's a really great time to um, stock up on your printed pieces and have an incentive to your customers to order and purchase holiday cards as well. It's just profitable is all get out. And if somebody, this is something, it's not a trick, but it's something that we did in our studio. And one of the things we would do is if somebody ordered, let's say 75 cards, and they were kind of like, well, we don't know if we need 100 or 150 or whatever, because of the BOGO special, you can afford to double that order. And then when they come in, it's a speculative sale, and you can tell them, the lab made some extra cards. If you'd like to purchase them, it's 50% off our normal sale price. And because you've already got the sale from the original cards, and this helps so that they don't have to reorder, they don't have a reorder fee that goes with it. You're saving them money. And in our situation, we sold those about 88% of the time. And for those that we didn't sell, they made great samples for the next season. So it's a win-win and a great way to be extra profitable.
Yeah, and you've got what I love about this is that as it's twofold. First of all, is designing your own card to remind everybody in your database that you're a photographer. And the second piece is what a great product to be offering your clients after every portrait session. And that would also tie in with video. I know in the last podcast we did, we talked about live portrait and how
Yeah.
that can be used in holiday cards. But everybody that's listening now has the ability to shoot a short video. In fact, we've talked about Suzette Allen
Mm-hmm.
in relation to live portrait, but also Suzette over the years got to be known as the Queen of Hybrid or the Empress of Hybrid because she would take still images, short video clips, put it all together with great music, and suddenly you've got a 30-second to 2-minute card that you can offer your clients as a product.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't just about you sending out cards to all your clients and everybody in the community, reminding who you are and what you do and how you're there to help them with their imaging needs. This is about products for your client. And then if you go back to what you said before, Mark, on BOGO,
Mm-hmm.
BOGO is about profitability. And so many of you out there listening, you miss the real benefit of BOGO. And you'll say, well, I don't really need that many cards. It's not about that many cards. It's about the fact that with every free card, you're picking up 50% margin in revenue. And it's hard enough to make a buck these days without missing something like a BOGO sale.
And a lot of people don't realize it doesn't have to be just greeting cards. We BOGO just about anything that is press printed. So if you're looking at getting some trifold cards, teeny tiny brochures, business cards, whatever, all of that is BOGO. So it's wise to start to kind of prepare for when we're going to have that for the products you need for your branding. And we do it again in the spring. So um, 2 times out of the year, that's the time you want to take advantage of the special pricing and get your branded products stocked up again.
Well, I love everything we're talking about now, but we're kind of pretty much out of time. Should we wrap it up and give everybody some tips on planning in advance?
Yeah, let's do. I always believe in, first of all, identify a goal. And with that goal, you want to be specific. Let's say you want to photograph 50 families between October 15th and December 20th. So you want to start and pick a date in which to launch that campaign and work about 8 weeks ahead of that, because that's about how much time it's going to take for you to prepare, get the images together. You may have to create some sessions for some samples of that. And that's another thing you can even do on your social media page is to say, models wanted. I'm looking for 3 families that I can use for my samples for my printed materials for the fall and for on my wall and my website. And the nice thing is you can take more than 3. So if somebody calls, you can kind of get some information from them. And a way to kind of qualify them too is to say, well, we've got I think we've got our three families set, but tell me a little bit because sometimes I need somebody that has a pet in the family or I'm looking for kids a certain age. Tell me a little bit about your family. So it's a way to not take everybody that just calls, and it helps you to qualify and get those samples that you're going to need.
Well, and once you've picked that date and you're launching your campaign, as you start to lead up to that and well in advance, start thinking about who can you network with this holiday season. Um,
Mhm.
and I talk about this all the time. Wedding photographers, we all know how a wedding goes down. So thinking about wedding, and it's the easiest example. You've got florists, you've got caterers, you've got limo services, you've got music entertainment companies, you've got travel agencies, wedding planners, vendors, venues. You've got the bakers, the bridal salons. It goes on and on and on. Every one of those companies is a perfect partner so that you can network. You can do some cross promoting where you're each giving a discount on your product when you've bought another product, or the other way around. And you can also just do offer nothing from either one of you except share the cost of a mailing to get something out into the community. And then speaking of community, there are opportunities all over your community to get your work out there on display. We talked about it on the last podcast. Bambi Cantrell used to have stuff in Starbucks. Helen Yancey had stuff in a local diner. The point is, now is the time for you to start to display stuff. I know Kurt McLean does some stuff with seniors that I believe every time he did his seniors each year, he's got a new batch of senior ambassadors and he's got a display. Am I right? I think it's a display in a mall
Mhm. Mhm. Yep.
somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And community displays can be even at a bank. I've seen people have displays there. You wouldn't think, but when you think about the moms and the decision makers, they are also part of that group that you're targeting.
Well, that leads me to one more piece, and then I'll let you wrap it up with whatever
Hmm.
else you got on the list here. But when it
Hmm.
comes to pre-writing posts for whether it's Facebook or you've got a blog, wherever you're going to put this stuff out, start writing them now. Build up a stash. Everything that you share in your blog, for example, doesn't have to be written right after you did a family shoot last weekend.
Hmm.
It can be, you can do them in advance. Everybody listening right now can easily come up with a dozen tips. And I know we talked about this once before, a dozen tips on taking better holiday shots. Um, they're not going to take business away from you, and it doesn't matter if they're shooting with a real camera or their phone, and the phones are becoming real cameras. Give them ideas on composition, on lighting, on just posing. I'm so tired of seeing family shots that people have taken where they set them up execution style, like the firing squad in a straight line. All of you know how to do the triangles and set up those heads so they're not all on the same plane, so they're not running straight across like they're about to be executed. Those are all content pieces. Start doing a blog post series on holiday gift ideas. Mark and I have talked on almost every one of these podcasts about the renewed sense of family that came out of the pandemic. Well, this is the perfect season of what are you going to get grandma this year? What are you getting grandma for Christmas? Grandpa doesn't need another tie. Nobody wears them anymore. Doesn't need a pair of socks or a sweater. But now is the time to be thinking about a family portrait. You can plant those seeds in your blog posts.
Yeah.
And it goes
Larry
on
Pete
like that.
Larry Peters did a great thing where they would sell gift certificates at the mall ahead of the holidays, and whatever the purchase was, they would double the amount. So if somebody bought $50, they got $100 gift certificate. If they spent 100, they get 200. I thought that was really really smart too.
Well, you know what makes me crazy? I was just in Costco the other day, and Costco's got an entire bank of gift cards for national restaurants or local restaurants. They've even got gift cards for car washes.
Hmm.
It now the dumb thing is you don't need to give somebody a gift for a car wash. If you go to the car wash and you regularly have a dirty car, buy it for yourself and save 25 to 50%. And they're all discounted. Every
Yeah.
single every single one of them were all, like I said, a lot of them were national restaurants and they've got a gift card. Well, why not do the exact same thing with your own business?
Absolutely. And just, when you think about writing content, it's almost like preparing for print competition. You just think about the ads that have inspired you. And, these big companies spend millions and millions of dollars. Tap into that resource. If there's something that you like because it's maybe humorous or it's touching the heart or whatever it is, and you can go on YouTube and just type in, Apple. I love Apple's. There's an ad called Misunderstood. Watch that. Oh my gosh. Talk about inspiring. And you have to get in the mood to start to prepare and write content for yourself. But you'll notice that the strongest are the things that are fewest words used, but the most and best content. And you want to drive everybody to your website. So that's the reason why your website has to be so critical, because that's where, if they don't call you right away and they want to check out more, your website is the most important face of you.
And by the way, speaking of your website, and then I'm going to shut up and we're going to close.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I am so frustrated with photographers that have used template designs for contact information, and then they never follow up.
Yeah.
The problem isn't in the design of their template for people to respond. The problem is that when it came in, they should have answered in the first 30 to 60 minutes or the following morning if it comes in late at night. Obviously, you got to be reasonable and get a good night's sleep. But I can't tell you how many times I've tried to contact a photographer and never heard back, or I heard back days later. So
Yeah.
the point about maintaining contact and planning email blasts and executing your plan, everything that we're talking about, it all comes back to you, and it comes back with my very first sarcastic line today of you snooze, you lose. So we're here to help you, and here's where I am, and then I'm going to ask Mark where he's going to be. You'll find me at everything I write is at skipcohenuniversity.com, and I'm Skip Cohen on Facebook. I'm Skip Cohen on Twitter, and my email is skip@mei500.com. And if you're stuck and you've got a question, then come on, guys, contact me. Contact Mark. We're here to help. And Mark, where do they go to find you?
Yeah, I'm at markw@marathonpress.net or 800-228-0629, extension 283.
And there you go. So everybody, let's make the fourth quarter the biggest and best one you have ever had. Thanks for joining us today on Marathon's Marketing Moment, and we'll see you in the next couple of weeks with another topic.